It's time for ProAm Prediction.
Hello and welcome back to ProAm Predictions. I am Paul O'D representing the amateur side, and on the professional side, as always, we have Ryan the Hulk Spillane. How are we doing this week, Ryan?
Great to be here. Just going to put out there now, we were meant to record this podcast or this ProAm yesterday, but I had a classic brain fog, so we couldn't do yesterday because it would have been me just staring at the camera for 20 minutes.
And I wouldn't mind, he came up to me and he said, in person, and he said, but I'll definitely be there tomorrow. I was like, Ryan, you're here today.
Yeah, mentally I wasn't. I was physically there. My body was there. My brain was back in the 4 punches I got before that.
But don't worry, we will have it out plenty of time for you to get your bets on and for you to get your picks before PFL 7 and Bellator 264, which are the two cards we're going to be taking a look at today. We're going to be looking at the main event and co-main event in the PFL bracket, which is the two semi-final fights, and then the top four fights in the Bellator 264 card. So what do you make of the PFL so far this season?
I like it, especially the heavyweight side things. I think they have a deep enough heavyweight kind of bracket. Like normally the newer shows don't really have that kind of really kind of deep heavyweight kind of roster. Like you only really have the UFC really, like Bellator if they're kind of building up their heavyweight bracket and all that, like, and you know KSW have a huge heavyweight kind of section, but then you look at one championship, they have like 5 or 6 real kind of heavyweights, you know, and all that. Like, but for PFL to come out of nowhere and then get a few good heavyweights, like, you know,
and with the like kind of couple of marquee names and standout heavyweights, they're also introducing some new talent that was unheard of going into this, and they seem to be doing that through a lot of the divisions. No, I like the whole concept. They have your playoffs and you have your final, and $1 million is a cool thing as well. I like the whole concept. I like it, but it's a strange one, right? So you get potentially 4 fights in a year if you get to the final. You get paid for each fight like you would normally. You work out a salary, but it's a very different structure to what you would get in a UFC or a Bellator. But you're almost guaranteed 4 fights if you're fit and ready to go. And then you've the chance to win $1 million at the end of the year. Is PFL going forward with this format going to become a more kind of a appealing option to several fighters and even younger fighters? You think about it, a guy who's 5 or 6-0 and has a couple of offers on the table, he could go to Bellator, he could go to UFC, or he could go to PFL, where it's you're 5 and 6-0, you're going to be coming in at 30 to 40 rank in either Bellator or the UFC and have to work your way up slowly for relatively low money for what they're paying their athletes. Or you could go into the PFL and you might get a low-paying fight contract, but you still have 4 fights of a chance in 1 year of getting that.
$1 million, I think it's a cool concept. I think it will probably go far.
Yeah.
But I think it won't change the norm. It won't change how fighters are paid and all that. I think it'll always stay the old school. You get your weight, you get your show bonus, your win bonus, and that's it. Like,
I don't know. I honestly think just even introducing this format and having it as an option, it gives fighters the knowledge that they can go in and kind of negotiate for themselves. They're going for contracts and go, well, listen, this is what PFL have offered me.
Yeah.
Never mind this win and show money. Either pay me full win money or just show money. Just show money. And bonuses if I get so many wins or whatever, like PFL are doing.
Yeah.
Or I think they might side with PFL. I think we see it this year in particular, to come back, because they obviously weren't there last year with COVID and everything. Yeah. But we see it this year. They got some marquee signings this year, and they bolstered that with some young talent and some, like, we're going to be talking about the welterweight division, and Rory McDonald was the addition to the welterweight division. Now, I'd been keeping an eye on PFL, but I hadn't been watching religiously previous to this, and you look at some of the guys that they had hanging around those divisions for a few years, the likes of Ray Cooper III, the likes of Magomed Karamov, they're legit talent. And we're only getting to really see them because they introduced Rory McDonald to the division.
Yeah, you have your one kind of big name that you put in there, and then you have all the other names that get you. Like, Rory brings you in there to watch it, and the rest keep you around then, you know?
So, with regards to the two fights this is the semi-final of the welterweight division that we have on Friday night. You have Rory versus Ray Cooper III, and you have Magomed Karamov against Sabadou Sai. I suppose we'll start out with the Russian against Sabadou Sai. It's a tough one for Sabadou. Sabadou is 9-5 overall. He's coming off the win over Kunchenko, but he had a no contest in his first fight. And that, just watching that fight, it was he couldn't continue after, I believe it was an eye poke.
Yeah.
But it didn't even look a bad eye poke.
Yeah.
It looked like both were gassed.
Yeah.
And it looked like he just wanted a way out.
Yeah.
I think he was hoping for a disqualification but it was clearly an accidental shot. And he's going in against Magomed Karamov. Woof. It's not just his name is impressive. This guy has multiple submissions on his record. I believe it's 9 submissions. But he has a north-south choke, an Ezekiel choke, a guillotine choke, an arm triangle choke, a rear naked choke. If he goes near your neck, you're in big trouble. And on top of that, in his 27 wins, he also has 10 KOs. I can't see anything other than a Magomed Karamov win here. And I think he's going to be huge problems for regardless who gets to the final.
Yeah, definitely. He won it last year, no?
Ray Cooper III won it in 2019. Magomed won it in 2018.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're talking about quitting, and you're talking about like
Sabadou Sai.
Sai. We'll call him Sai because Sai's an easy one for me. You're talking about Sai kind of giving up in a fight and kind of doing that kind of crack.
Mm-hmm.
The man that make him give up is a Dagestani and Russian, like
100%, yeah.
A man
with lethal grappling and
a man that put you there,
striking.
start smacking your head around the gaff on the floor, and then look for a submission. Like that's the fella that's going to put you away, like Yeah, I'm not a call submission for this. I think he puts him to sleep. I think it's that kind of way.
We have to factor in as well, Magomed couldn't fly over due to COVID for his first fight.
Oh, yeah.
So he started out coming into the second fight where you have to win to qualify at -1 point for a no-show, and he still made the playoffs. This dude is he's a fucking problem.
Killer.
Like, I think if you put him into Bellator, into UFC right now, those welterweight divisions would benefit massively.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He could be a man to push up towards title shot, like.
Yeah.
Do you know? 28-5.
There's very few that have finishing ability on the mat, lethal finishing ability, and the same on the feet.
And strike, yeah.
Big problem. So we both see him going through to the final, but who will he face off in the final? It's Ray Cooper III versus Rory McDonald.
We're split for this one.
We are very much split for this one. So I've been a fan of Ray Cooper for a while, and one of the reasons I was kind of drawn to PFL was to watch his fights. The dude, and it's more an entertainment thing than it is his fights are wild. He's liable to get caught in something or to get beaten, but I mean, he's a phenomenal record. And weirdly enough, for two guys that have 30 fights on their record, they have the exact same record, 22-7-1.
I was just going to mention it. And on the PFL records, they're both 1-1.
Yeah.
They both have a really so Ray Cooper missed weight, so
which counts as a loss. Yeah,
but still won that fight.
Yeah.
And then Rory has that absolutely atrocious decision in his last fight,
which I mentioned off air cost me a little bit of money. I was just waiting on that to come in for a payday, and somehow the judges gave it to Gleason.
So going in there with identical MMA records, but also identical PFL records
this season.
Yeah. It's a cool one.
Yeah, and you have Ray Cooper III, who I know the one before this, or the last one, was technically a loss because they missed weight. But if you take out the PFL rules, he is on a 4-fight win streak.
Yeah.
Wins over I can't even say his name, Aleksakin, Jason Pone, Michaud, and Chris Curtis, who are all kind of staples of the PFL and have been around there for a while. Is it a little, like, is this too much of a step up for someone like Ray Cooper, who's been just fighting PFL guys for the last 3 or 4 years? Do you think he might be a bit deer in the headlights?
Fights are fights, he's fighting good guys. I just personally think Rory's just a bit, like, I love Rory. Like, UFC days.
I'm a big
like,
fan as well.
Yeah, UFC days, like, what a fucking fighter, like. And I'm just, my heart's going with him, you know. I haven't really been keeping up that much of PFL, so haven't really watched, like, I didn't really watch Rory's last 2 fights and all that. I'm just going off completely, like, me being a huge Rory fan, like.
Well, the last fight was against Gleason Tebow, the robbery. He clearly had that fight won. Before that, he took out Curtis Millender in a little over a minute, and people were starting to think, oh, we're going to see the very best of Rory here.
Yeah.
He had a hit and miss run in Bellator, let's be honest about it.
No,
he picked up the belt, and he was he did some great things over there, but he had some bad losses as well, and draw with Fitch. And I suppose his losses to Douglas Lima, losses to Mousasi.
Yeah.
They're not like they're bad losses.
No.
I just have this thing in my head that Ray Cooper is one of those guys that, look, if he connects with a punch, you're in big trouble. And he has shown us as well that while his defensive wrestling isn't amazing, he can threaten off his back.
Yeah.
And he can pull off a submission as well. He's dangerous enough that way. Rory's not really the guy you're going to catch in a sneaky submission.
No, not at all.
For me, I'm gonna go with Ray Cooper
by
a decision. I think he just does enough, and I think he does enough early. This is one where first and second round
complete, yeah.
He's coming at Rory and he's putting it on him.
Yeah.
But Rory will naturally come on stronger towards the end of the fight. It's whether Rory can finish him late on or not, I suppose, is the kind of real threat for him.
Yeah, I'm going to go Roy McDonald, and I'm going to go, I want to say decision, like.
Yeah.
But he could still finish him as well, I think.
Yeah. But look, both guys.
A submission could be in there as well, like.
Rory of late hasn't really been known as a finisher.
Yeah.
But he has it in his locker. And
absolutely.
A guy who's going to come forward so much is the perfect opponent if you're going to come and try and finish someone.
Yeah. No, I'm going to Rory, I'm going to go decision.
Perfect. So that is our PFL coverage, and we're going to now look at the Bellator 264 card, which isn't one of Bellator's strongest cards ever, but there are still some very interesting fights on it at the very top. And I find I'm fascinated by the third fight down, how it's not the co-main event, but we'll get to that when we get to it. If you look down through some of the prelims, though, there's a couple of names on there, but there's not any really major fights going on.
It's one of the weakest one, but like to be fair to Bellator, they have been putting out really, really, really strong cards.
Yeah.
So like you can't like with the UFC, like they put out 5 or 6 really strong cards, and they have 2 kind of sleeper cards, you know, like kind of the quiet ones and all that, which can do well, might not do well, you know.
Yeah.
Bellator have been doing the same. They're having their 3 or 4 really good cards. Like we've been absolutely blessed with MMA cards that are Bellator for the last while. So one kind of quiet enough one.
And that's it. Look, they also have a couple of 100 fighters on their roster that they need to get fights.
Absolutely.
Every fight card can't be stacked to the hilt with big names. But we're going to look at the top 4 fights on this card. Yeah. Look, we'll start out down the bottom in the heavyweight fight because we're having a little chat about this. So when we spoke yesterday, I mentioned, I was kind of running through who was on the card, and I said David Franklin, he's 3-0 guy, and Bellator are kind of hyping him. He's already ranked in the heavyweight division, and he's fighting a guy called Everett Cummings, and that's all I knew. And the name didn't ding. There was no bing, 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 Everett Cummings. I was like, he's a fucking nobody. I was like, they have to bring in another tin can for Davian Franklin to roll over, until I went to Tapology and did a bit of research. And it turns out Everett Cummings is 15-0. 15-0 and 1 no contest. But our own Ryan Spillane dug a little deeper on this record.
Yeah. So if you go through Everett's Tapology record, it's just a bit sus.
Just a touch, yeah.
It's a touch sus. He's fighting as his first 4 fights. So we'll just scroll down there.
Down to the bottom, yeah.
Bottom. We'll start right at the start. Yeah, so amateur record, we'll forget about that. His first 4 fights are against debut guys.
In Gladiator Challenge.
And they're all first round stoppages. So they're all either submissions or TKOs. Which is that's sus at the start. And then his next 2 fights are 0-0-0-0-1. You know, it's two just losing guys. And then a 3-4 guy. You have 2-1. So he fights 2-1 when he's 7-0.
Yeah.
Then when he's 8-0, he fights 7-16.
A journeyman.
Yeah. Then when he's 9-0, he fights 12-7.
That's
a good fight.
That's his toughest test to date.
And he wins by submission in round 2. So look, he has, you know.
They took him out of the first round.
Yeah. Then 2-8, 0-5, 9-11.
And he had another mild test at 13-0.
But that was when he was 14-0. He fought a guy who was 3-1, and that was illegal. Downwards elbows was no context.
Yeah, no, I'm saying the guy that he fought in Bellator previous. So he has made one appearance before. He fought a guy that was 7-4, which isn't a terrible record for heavyweight. And so that was his next challenge at 13-0.
Yeah.
Challenged at 9-0, challenged at 13-0.
But these are guys he's fighting when he's 13-0, 14-0.
Yeah.
Then he's 14-0 fighting a guy who's 4-1.
Yeah. It's all of the suspect. Yeah, look,
So look, I'm very sus about Everest. Or Everett, whatever his name is. Everett. Yeah. But very sus.
Saying that, we can shit on a guy's record and look at kind of the people he's fought. Look,
that's our job to shit in the records, Paul.
It is true as well, yeah. But the one thing I would say is how many people did it with Khabib early in his career and said,
but look, come on,
fought nobodies.
A heavyweight now from California is a bit different from the mountains of Dagestan.
It is, but my argument with that is, it's no matter what fight he's in and who he's fighting.
Yeah.
It's a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
Things can go wrong. For you to have
absolutely, it's one punch for heavyweight.
15 of them or 16 of them and pick up no loss. There's still something there, and he's not just beating these guys; he's taking them out early and relatively easily.
But then it's the guys he's fighting. We had a look at one of them who was 10-16, and his first fight was 2000. So look, we're talking about the opponents too as well. Like you can go in there and beat up guys who have never fought in their life and pick up 15 of those very, very, very easily.
And beating up old men who are just coming back from retirement for a payday.
So I'm very sus about this. I'm a big fan of Davian Franklin. I think he's a really big prospect. I think Bellator bigging him up. I think he could be a new kind of heavyweight, star. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go Davian, and I'm going to go TKO.
And I'm going to upset the apple cart, and I'm going to pick Everett Cummings for the biggest upset. Because it won't actually look like an upset.
No, it won't. It'll be
because his record, he's coming in. People that aren't going to do the research are going to see 3-0 versus 15-0 and go, why the fuck is Davian Franklin the favourite?
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, when I was on the Bellator app, it was fairly split. I think it was more actually picks for Everett. It was like 45-51 was the kind of split.
But Irish bookmakers don't know how to create odds for MMA because
it's on the Bellator
they just
app.
Look at records. Oh, really?
Yeah, the Bellator app. So they have the app now where you can pick the fights and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So the app was fairly split.
Again, I would imagine that's mostly casual
but
seeing
then,
the record.
No, but then on Bellator, then he's 0-0-0. So on the app.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so if you look at the app, it's 3-0 versus 0-0-0. So it's a fairly split one.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Look, again, my pick is it's out there because the guy has been completely unchallenged, and we know that Davian Franklin. We've watched Davian Franklin. It's only 3 fights, but he's looked damn impressive, and he's got the job done 3 times, and he's starting to come up against tougher opponents. And this is, for me, this is kind of his next jump. And I know you don't.
No, he's not a tougher opponent from. I think his last 3 fights will be tougher than this opponent. And we'll see this fucking tomorrow night.
I think there's a hint of an upset here. Everett Cummins strikes me as a guy who's going to end up his career
champion.
No, definitely not champion. We won't go that far. But I think he's going to end up his career with an average record because he's never been tested. And when he does start to get tested, something's going to go wrong. He's certainly not going to remain undefeated. He's not going to Khabib us and come up out of nowhere.
It'll be 45-0.
But I do think he's the guy. He's coming in here after 15 wins, 15 early stoppages. He's looking at Davian Franklin going, 3-0, this is who I fight every other week.
Yeah, but this man hasn't gone to round 3 yet. This man, we don't even know what his cardio is like. Do you know?
And we know Davian has that wrestling.
Yeah,
I'm going for the upset. I just think it's a funny story.
Yeah, it's a good one. Look, if Ryan didn't do his research today now, it wouldn't have happened.
That's true. Ryan rarely does his research as well, so that's impressive.
Didn't have it for yesterday. It was last night.
In the next fight up on the main card, we have
exciting,
a phenomenal fight at bantamweight, and this to me, how this isn't co-main event or main event of a card on its own, is a travesty. You have Magomedov, who's 18-1. He's on a 5-fight win streak, and let's not forget, his only loss in his career is to Peter Yan, a man who he also holds a win over. And then on the other side, you have Rofian Stats, who is on an 8-fight win streak, including wins over Josh Hill, Keatley, Caspel, all ranked in Bellator. Sorry, Keatley isn't ranked in Bellator at the moment. And his only loss in his career is to Merab Dvalishvili. They're two of the best guys in the UFC right now, former champion and future champion, you could almost guarantee. They're two guys that, we talked about this, if you put them into the UFC, they're getting into that top 5. They're going to be legit top contenders in that division. These guys are squaring off now. It for me, this could easily be a number 1 contender fight. I mean, I know there's a lot of other moving factors, and there's other guys fighting right now. You James versus Patchy Mix is coming up.
Yeah.
Brian Moore's got a big fight going to be coming up in Dublin.
Yeah.
But these are two guys that are right there for me.
Where are they ranked on the Bellator rankings?
Magomedov is, I believe, he's number 3.
Yeah.
Or 4, sorry. James is number 3. And Rofian Stats is like number 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But again, like he's a guy that's come in and beat 3 top guys there. I don't understand why he's 6 or 7. The rankings are a little bit all over the fucking place, to be honest. Personally, for me, I can't look past Magomedov. I think he's been uber impressive since we've got to see him in the Bellator cage. His suplexes, his striking, everything about the man is just, there's ill intent behind everything he's doing. Rofian Stats is a tough guy and he's a tough out, and I think there's very few that are going to beat him in his career. I think he keeps those numbers low, but I think Magomedov is a horrible matchup for anyone. I'm going to go with Magomedov. But I think Stats toughs him out to a decision. I don't think Magomedov will finish him, but I'm so looking forward to this fight. One of the best fights that we've had on in weeks, and that's in any division, in any promotion.
I definitely agree with you. I think Magomedov is just an absolute fucking killer. But then Stotts is a killer as well.
Yeah.
I just think there's a level to this. Like, I think Magomedov is just a level higher.
And he's Russian.
Yeah, he's Russian, which is the biggest factor here.
Adds to it.
I think I'll agree with you. I don't think he finished Stotts, but I think he definitely just puts a good beating on him. Like,
do you think that a win here for either or, that if they get on the mic and they announce themselves right, they're next in line?
Yeah, I think so. I think winner does get title shot.
Like, the only people above Magomedov, as far as I know, are Patchy Mix, Juan Archuleta, and James Gallagher is either one above him or one below him.
Yeah.
So they're right there. Then I think it could actually be Stotts next, then Hill. So both guys are either 3-5 or 4-5, somewhere around there. Like, the only guys essentially they might have to beat now after this is Juan Archuleta. So do you think maybe calling out a Juan Archuleta or calling out a Pettis after this?
But do you not think Archuleta gets a rematch first?
I don't think he does. I don't think he was champion long enough.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. So let's say Magomedov fights Archuleta next. He beats Archuleta.
Yeah.
And it beats him well, I think. I think Stotts is a tough opponent to Archuleta right now. Like,
you have to factor in as well, November, you have James Gallagher taking on Patchy Mix, which is a top contender fight. Like, because of the star power and because of how much Bellator have backed James Gallagher goes in and puts on a performance against Patchy Mix and picks up a victory. Does he jump ahead of either of these guys?
I think definitely. So. Let's say Magomedov and Archuleta fight in around November, December-ish.
Yeah.
Then I think February. Then you definitely get Gallagher versus Pettis.
Yeah.
And then whoever wins, and then whoever wins between Magomedov and Archuleta, which we Magomedov, then fights the winner of that fight. Then I think.
But I can also see a situation where Sergio Pettis, new champion since March.
Yeah.
I can see a situation where he fights before the end of this year.
Who do you fight though? Because
could very easily be the winner of this, unless it's Juan Archuleta again and they decide to run it back.
I don't think they run it back. Though.
I don't either. I think it was a very decisive decision.
Yeah. But you can go November then, have one of these fight each other, and then have winner of Patchy Mix and Gallagher fight then in February for the
winner.
Yeah.
I'll tell you fucking what though, if Magomedov does get a title shot after this,
he wins it.
He wins it, and good luck to the boys trying to take it off him.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that division is stacked to the hilt. But Magomed just looks like one of these characters that he's beatable, I think.
Yeah, but finding
but you're going through fire to beat this kid.
Yeah.
There's very few guys. There's a couple of guys. Weirdly, look, I'm biased, but I think Brian Moore has that knockout power that very few in that division possess.
Good takedown defense as well.
Could be the guy, but
tough off his back as well.
Yeah, there's some fucking massively tough fights in that division.
Oh, absolutely.
If Magomedov gets his hands on that strap next, it could be an interesting road to the top.
Yeah.
But we will move on to we both picked Magomedov in that one by decision. We're going to move on to the co-main event of the evening. And for the life of me, I can't understand. Look, it's a good fight, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I can't understand how it's ahead of the bantamweights here. You have Andrei Koreshkov versus Saba Homasi. Homasi's coming off that tough loss to Daly.
But then, as I was saying, it's a loss off Daly. And since Daly moved to Bellator, he's looking good.
Daly could be my fucking granddad, like. He's an old man.
True, but old men pack power. Like, look at fucking...
The last thing to go is your power,
Look at Stipe and DC, like, old men.
Yeah.
Prime heavyweights.
But especially in the lower... When you move down the weight classes, age is a factor, right?
Yeah, it is, but still, come on.
Paul Daly can't even really make the 170 limit anymore. They've created a 175 benchmark for him. He's that far on in his career, he's just given up on making 170.
Come on, his last fight was good. Come on, come back off that.
It was very good, and I was impressed. But I had high hopes for Homasi going into that and before that. Homasi's a guy as well, he was 0-3 in the UFC.
Yeah.
Just went to the UFC, maybe... He had a little bit of a tough run as well because he fought the same guy. Auspicious circumstances around the first stoppage. Probably shouldn't have been stopped so early. So he got that rematch and he was knocked out in the rematch.
Yeah.
So 2 of his 3 fights were against the same guy. But he did go 0-3. He went away, got a couple of fights and ended up in Bellator. Now he's 3-1 in Bellator currently. But I hope for him that the head doesn't go down. He's got another very tough opponent here. Again, a Russian. You have a guy he's traded wins and losses. He had a win over De Oliveira, the loss to Larkin, win over Mike Jasper, and then the loss to Diego Lima before that. And he's lost to Lima twice, but he also has a victory over Lima. And I think a guy that has a victory over Diego Lima, a guy that has a victory over Benson Henderson, he's a problem.
He had a lovely Bellator only sharing it on their socials, but he had a lovely spinning back kick. Where he literally drove your man 4 feet. And ruined him with the spinning back kick. Yeah,
he's a very tough guy, but I like Homasi, you could argue, both guys are unpredictable. It depends what version of them shows up. I will just, in a situation where it's a bit of a toss-up, I'm going to side with the Russian. I think there's more tools in the locker there.
By what?
It could be anything, but I'm going to go, because Homasi's a tough guy, I'm going to go Koreshkov by decision.
Okay, I'm going to go Homasi by TKO.
Homasi by TKO. Woof.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Very possible because the guy does have huge KO power in his hands. But Koreshkov's a tough guy to get out of there as well. I don't think he's been finished all that many times. I'm going to have a quick look at it there because I don't know if he's been finished at all. I think maybe one by submission. If I was to be guessing, which it would, that's exactly what I would be guessing. Rear naked choke, submission.
Punch.
Oh, so he has been.
Yeah.
And it was Diego Lima as well.
By punches too, twice. Ben Askren.
Oh shit, I might have to change my opinion. Ben Askren beat a guy by punches. I can only hope that was ground and pound and not a fucking TKO on the feet. Jake Paul will be calling this guy out next. Look, I see what you're saying, and the fact that definitely that there's history there of being knocked out there is a very real possibility.
I think Homasi has dangerous hands, like, and even kicks as well. Like he had a lovely knee finish well where he flew into it, bang! Oh, it's beautiful. It was back in
flying knee. Who was that
back
against?
Last year in like I think it was like
Bobby
March.
Volker.
Yeah,
Bobby Volker.
It was a lovely little flying like knee. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, look, and we have to remember as well, before the Daly fight, he was on a 4-fight win streak.
And like, come on, the Daly fight now, he had Daly out, like, Daly just had that bit more, That
first round was fire.
Oh.
Absolute fire. But here's the problem, where I think if you go in and try and do that against Koreshkov's just going to look to take you down.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to look to grapple with you, make it
but
grimy
he knows
and
that,
dirty.
like, he's fighting a Russian. He knows takedowns are there, like, you know. he's not going to be that aggressive. He's going to look for that nice little maybe uppercut or knee or maybe check hook off a takedown.
Yeah. So we're very much split on that one.
Yeah.
The main event.
We're split as well for this.
My heart and my head, I haven't fully made up my mind yet.
Okay. We'll start talking and then you'll make up your mind.
Yeah. You have Gegard Mousasi defending his middleweight strap against John Salter. And this for me is, I think this fight absolutely had to happen. John Salter's been in the Bellator for a long time now, and he's been putting on performances. He's 8-1 overall in Bellator. The only loss is to Rafael Lovato Jr. He picked up 3 wins in a row now against Van Steenis, Njuku, and Kappel, which are 3 tough outs at the top of that division. Yeah. And but he's never asked for the title fight really until his last one, and even at that he got passed over by Diego Lima. Which I get it. It's Bellator love doing these champion versus champion and different things now, but I think when you have a guy like John Salter, it's like when Izzy moved up against Jan Blachowicz and Glover was waiting in the wings, and you're like, dude's earned it. Yeah. But he is going up against Gegard Mousasi, and what can you say about Gegard Mousasi? 47-7-2.
Fought the best, like
the very best. Like his notable wins: Vitor Belfort, Uriah Hall, Mark Hunt, Chris Weidman, Jacare, Tego Santos, Rory McDonald, Dan Henderson. Gary, he's fought and beat Gary Goodridge of like UFC 3 fame. I mean, the guy's been around forever. He's been racking up wins, and for a guy with 56 fights, he's a guy that doesn't actually have that many losses on his record, considering the level of opponents he's been fighting for
so long,
15 years.
Yeah,
it's insane. He's on a 2-fight win streak, Lima and Machida, since the loss to Lovato Jr. He's 5-1 overall in Bellator and he's looked almost unstoppable. But the one thing I have noticed, he's looked, and now he's always the guy, he looks like he's half asleep in the cage.
Yeah.
And he's able to just do enough and make you seem like you're on the winning side, and then he'll take you down and he can kind of control you from there. He can lull you into a false sense of security. But I think more so in his later fights, and I think even the Diego Lima one was an example of it, where he's not really being very offensive. And I think he's going to get caught out by someone who brings the fight. John Salter's striking is good, but it's not great. I don't think it's on Mousasi's level.
No.
But his jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. And Salter's big thing is he's not afraid of being taken down, which is one of Mousasi's big threats. It's pure heart over head, but I am going to side with John Salter for an upset victory here.
By what?
I'm going to go with... fuck it. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to go John Salter, 2nd round submission victory.
Oh. That's a Ryan Spillane pick there now.
It is, isn't it?
Fucking hell.
I'm feeling fucking wild this week. I'm going to get carried away.
I have to go Gegard by decision. I think it's for 5 rounds. I think he puts it on him.
But, like, he's... What age... John Salter's no young man either. But what age is Gegard Mousasi now?
You love talking about age, don't you, Paul?
I know, I'm no young man myself.
Men in glass houses don't throw stones, come on.
Listen, I was talking about heavyweights a while ago and I didn't fucking... what age is Gegard Mousasi now?
He's 36, 37-ish.
He's right about there, yeah. He could even be pushing 40. But do you think his heart is 100% still in it? 36 only. Oh my Jesus Christ, he's more or less the same age as me.
You're talking about old men there.
Yeah, just upset myself.
Yeah.
But do you think his heart is 100% in it?
No. But I think his heart was never kind of in it. Like, you look at the way he fought, like, he was never kind of in there, like, he was never a fella to be like screaming for title shots or anything like that. Like, he was just happy to fight.
Yeah.
He just likes fighting, do you know?
Yeah. No, I can't argue with you.
Like, you never see him, like, you never saw him when he was in his UFC days, and you were never like, oh, this fella really wants titles, you know? He just wants to fight.
Even though at one point he got ranked up as high as 5 or 6.
Yeah, but
and was never calling for it.
No, because he was just happy to fight.
Yeah.
And if they gave him a fella lower than him, he was just happy. Do you know, he just likes fighting. Yeah, I think if you have 47 victories, you have all those fights.
Yeah.
I think you just like fighting.
We like Fedor Emelianenko in a fucking K1 exhibition.
No, that was M1. That's MMA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like you look through this fucking dude's record, and it is insane. Absolutely
Hector
insane.
Lombard right there.
We're going back now to 2001, I believe he made his debut. 2003, sorry. But, like, first couple, obviously, kind of nobody's, like, most people's record.
But
definitely
then
back
Hector
in
Lombard
2003.
there, no?
No, he's a little bit further up.
Was it?
So, yeah, he gets to Pride and takes on Hector Lombard.
Yeah.
And then after, 20 fights, the names just start rolling. Dennis Kang, Jacare, Melvin Manoff, Mark Hunt. The fuck is the dude fighting Mark Hunt and beating him? Renato Sobral, Fedor, Gary Goodridge, King Mo, Jacob Bryan, Keith Jardine. I mean...
Then OSP, fuck me.
Yeah, that was Strikeforce days. And then on to the UFC. And he had a run in the UFC of fighting...
Absolute
killers. Look at this. And this is only lately. This is 2016. Thiago Santos, Vitor Belfort, Uriah Hall, Chris Weidman, and Shlemenko then when he signed with Bellator. And left the UFC on a 6-fight winning streak.
What was his whole thing with you leaving UFC? He was unhappy, wasn't he?
He was out of contract and decided that he was going to look for greener pastures.
Yeah.
At the time, who was champion at middleweight at the time?
It wasn't Weidman, no?
No. I want to say at the very end that it was Bobby Knuckles, and Bobby Knuckles had that injury and he was out for a while.
Yeah,
and there was a lot going on. The belt wasn't really being defended, and I think it was just kind of a case of that he was looking for a title shot. But without asking for it.
Yeah,
he wanted to get it on merit and be awarded the fucking thing rather than asking for it.
Yeah,
which he was entitled to, and he ended up going over to Bellator and getting the title shot and losing to Lovato Jr. I think that was his first attempt at it, wasn't it? Yeah. First attempt at the belt. Or no, sorry, he actually lost the belt to Rafael Lovato Jr. He won it against Rory McDonald.
Yeah.
But, like, look, you can't say enough things about the dude. He's been around forever. He has 38 finishes as well in his 47 fights. And he's a guy that can take you out in a TKO situation, or he's not really got a KO power punch,
but he still could.
A few nice kicks. But if it goes to the ground, he can take you out. I just think John Salter could be his kryptonite. That's all I'm saying.
Look, you're very risky with your picks this week.
I have been, actually, yeah. I've gone with Everett Cummings.
I know.
Who is the most suspect fiend that's ever held a record in MMA.
Sus. Well, I reckon we could go deep diving on Tapology and find some better fellas, but
yeah. Easily. We found a guy with a multicolour background to his pictures.
I want one.
Yeah. We're going to have to hit up Quilcha de Barra there in Tapology and get Ryan's picture changed for some tie-dye colours in the background.
Colours in the back.
So, yeah, look, there's some good fights this weekend. It's not the most exciting weekends, but you have two cards that are balancing off each other, and there's some good fights on both.
No UFC this week.
Yeah. They are back next week.
Kevin Gastelum, no?
Kevin Gastelum versus Jared Cannonier.
Yes.
Which is a good fight.
Yeah, I like it.
I'll have to have a good think on that one throughout the week to see which way I'm leaning, because right now no one stands out as a winner there, just because it would be Kelvin, but Kelvin's had a tough run of late. But there are some good fights this weekend. We would ask, go over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, be sure and like the video.
You're forgetting as well this week your bets.
I've done that every week for the last few fucking weeks.
The last two shows recorded now, you've forgotten your bets.
Do you know what? I'm gonna go for since I didn't do my bets again, and since I've picked some fucking wild ones this week, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick Everett Cummings by submission. I'm gonna pick John Salter by submission, and I'm gonna pick Ray Cooper III by KO. I'm gonna go full Hulk on it.
All right. I'm going to beat you then. Going to go Franklin TKO, or so KO victory.
Okay.
Going to go Magomedov KO victory.
Yeah.
I'm going to go
KO.
Rory McDonald KO victory.
Yeah. Yeah, see, they seem, the minute you said them, like more sensible picks than what I had.
But still very risky.
Yeah.
Just riskier.
It seems like a much more winnable bet than what I have.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
but
where the fuck is Cummins going to pull out submission from?
I have no idea, but leave me alone. Davian's going to get caught. He's going to start wrestling and he's going to find himself in a world with a jiu-jitsu genius in Everett Cummings. That's my prediction. And then Everett Cummings will retire. Be sure and subscribe on YouTube.
Retire undefeated. Just like Khabib.
Yeah. Follow us on Facebook at the MMA Opinion. Be sure and follow us on all our other social medias, Guts and Glory MMA. And where can we find you on our Instas and stuff like that?
It's Ryan Spillane MMA on Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook is Ryan the Hulk Spillane.
Very good. Be sure and tune in next week. We will have a lot of content coming your way. Thank you very much for watching. See you again.